Okay, so we're diving into field hockey offense. Like right into that moment when you're in the opponent's circle, the pressure's on, every second counts.
Yeah, yeah, those really high stakes moments.
Exactly. And we're looking at what this expert, Fede Tanuccio, calls circle priorities. It's all about training those instincts, so you can make split-second decisions that lead to goals.
It's like almost like programming your brain for success, right? So you're
Yeah.
not hesitating when it matters most.
Exactly. No time to overthink it out there on the field.
Because you already know exactly what to do in each spot. Like it's a reflex. Fade really stresses that, how that split-second advantage, it can make all the difference.
So it's taking that thinking part and just like turning it into pure instinct, yeah.
Absolutely. He actually compares it to a dance you don't think about each step, you just react. And to illustrate this, he breaks down game footage, even from the Olympics, showing these priorities in action.
Wow, the Olympics, so it's the real deal.
Oh yeah, highest level.
So let's break down these circle priorities.
Mm.
He divides the scoring circle into 5 key zones, and each one has its own kind of like playbook. The first one that we're going to talk about is what he calls crush balls, which I don't know about you, but it sounds a little chaotic to me.
Yeah, it can be a bit, I guess,
A little wild.
yeah, but there's a method to the madness.
Okay, so there's a strategy behind it.
Definitely. Think of a crush ball as like your last resort. When there's no clear passing lane, you can't really dribble. That's when you got to get creative. So you send a bouncing ball into that circle, aiming to cause a little, I don't know.
Chaos.
Chaos, exactly.
So it's about maybe like creating a rebound opportunity, maybe forcing a penalty corner out of that chaos.
Exactly. You said it. It's about maximizing your chances when the pressure's on. And as Faye puts it, 50% is better than losing the ball, trying something else.
I like that. And he actually showed this clip from an Olympic semifinal. A well-placed crush ball led directly to the game-winning goal.
See, it works. Even those plays that look a little chaotic, if they're executed strategically, they can be so effective.
It's not just random. There's a purpose to it.
Right, exactly.
So crush balls, they're about kind of like thriving in that chaos. But his next priority is first post battles, and that seems more about precision and winning those one-on-one duels right there near the goalpost.
Yeah, it's like, the first line of attack. If you win that initial battle near the post, it opens up a world of possibilities.
So more than just that one player trying to score, it's about the impact on the entire defense.
100%. It's like this chain reaction. You win that battle at the first post, and boom, you might get a direct shot on goal. Okay, maybe you don't score immediately, but you're pulling the defense out of position. Maybe that far post opens up, or there's a deflection. He showed these great clips, goals scored from both scenarios. It's really effective.
So that far post position, it sounds like that's really important in a lot of these scenarios.
Oh, it's crucial. And you'll see that feeds directly into his next priority, the far post, which is all about having a player in that perfect spot, ready to pounce on those deflections, those rebounds.
Be in the right place at the right time.
Yes. But it's not just about standing there. It's about timing, anticipation, being ready to capitalize on those opportunities.
You showed a clip, right, where it was like that first post battle, that created the opening.
Yes. And the way that far post player read the play. Perfect positioning, like straight out of a textbook. It really highlights how those circle priorities, they all work together to create these high percentage scoring opportunities.
It's like a well-oiled machine, right? Every part has to work in sync. But what about those situations where, I don't know, it's just not so clean cut? The circle's packed, there's no clear path to the goal. Fed calls those no return situations, which just sounds terrifying to me.
It can feel that way, can it? Like, what do you even DO? Yeah, but that's when those priorities, they really, I don't know, come in handy, I guess.
So they give you that framework, yeah, even in the chaos.
Exactly. And it's not just reacting to it. It's almost like anticipating that chaos.
Okay, I like that.
And that's where his fifth priority comes in. Cross zones. So now we're thinking about those passing lanes right across the face of the goal, especially when the defense, they're scrambling a bit.
So those quick diagonal passes, trying to get that tip in at the far post.
Exactly. High risk, high reward, but man, when it works. Beautiful field hockey. And again, it all comes back to that far post, right?
Mm-hmm.
That player is critical.
Almost like a safety valve for a bunch of these priorities.
Yeah, good way to put it. They've really got to read the play a step ahead,
Yeah.
Anticipate where that ball might go.
And speaking of anticipation, there was something really interesting that Fade said about the types of shots that are becoming more effective these days. Especially against these modern defenses,
Yeah.
They're so tight.
Right. He's noticed this real shift away from those traditional shots, aimed at those deep corners.
Which you just don't see as much anymore,
You
right?
just can't score from there as easily. Not with how compact defenses are nowadays.
Which makes those top corner flicks and those low hard shots right outside the D, those are even more dangerous.
100%. They're exploiting those areas where the defense, it's a bit weaker, those little spaces that these modern formations create. And he had the data to back it up, too. Clips of goals scored from those unexpected angles, it was really interesting to see.
It's like those geometry lessons from school are suddenly relevant on the field.
Right.
Like you aim for where they're not where they are.
Exactly. Be unpredictable.
So clever. But it makes sense. You've got to adapt, right? The game is always evolving.
Which Fast 8 is all about, staying ahead of the curve. Like with that new 5-meter rule.
Oh, yeah. That's changed things up.
He was saying how defenders are so worried about giving away a penalty corner, they'll actually concede those few extra meters,
Yeah, give the attackers a little space to work with.
Yeah. Exactly. So now those attackers, they can exploit that with a quick flick or a pass. It's about playing smart, playing fast, and taking advantage of those little advantages.
Capitalize.
Yes. He showed all these examples, goals scored from those 5-meter situations, just because the attackers were ready. They had that speed of thought.
There it is again, that speed of thought that Gordon James was talking about. You've got to know your options and execute. Especially in those tight windows.
Couldn't agree more. And for me, the best example of that was that drop-and-go maneuver.
Okay, the drop and go, tell me more.
He called it, get this, aphrodisiac.
He loves it that much.
He loves it. Okay, so picture this. You're on the attack, you're flying down the field, but instead of forcing a pass, one that might get intercepted, you actually leave the ball behind you. I know, it sounds crazy, but...
Like a little gift for your teammate.
Yes. And they're usually trailing the play, maybe on that diagonal run. It's all about the element of surprise.
Catch the defense off guard.
Exactly. Perfect for those counterattacks when you've got some space. And visually, it's so effective. The clip he showed, it happened so fast, you could practically see the confusion on the defenders' faces.
They're expecting one thing, and then bam, the play is going in a totally different direction.
It's beautiful.
So we've talked about all these tactics, right?
Yeah.
But how do you actually train players to react that quickly? I mean, where do you even start?
That's where Fed's coaching, it really comes through. He's all about those drills, but they have to mimic those real game situations.
Okay, so not just isolated skills, but like...
Decision-making, exactly.
Got it.
So he showed this one drill. It started with a shot on goal, then a rebound opportunity, which led to first post battles, far post deflections, baseline runs. It was like a mini game, but within a drill. So the players, they have to make those decisions under pressure.
Because that's what it's going to be like in a game.
Exactly. He really emphasized how important it is to practice those circle priorities. But in those underload situations, fewer attackers than defenders.
Which is usually how it is in a game anyway, right?
Right. So it's not about teaching them what to do in like a perfect scenario. It's preparing them for the reality.
Love that. And it's not just the physical skills, it's the mental part too. Building up that resilience.
Absolutely. And speaking of the mental side, he had some fascinating stuff to say about coaching strikers, specifically building their confidence.
Because that's huge, right? Being a striker, that's a lot of pressure.
Huge. He actually said it's the hardest position on the field. Oh, besides being a goalie, obviously.
Wow. High praise, high pressure.
Yeah.
So how do you coach a player to thrive in that environment? Where do you even begin?
Feed is a big believer in focusing on intentions, not just outcomes.
So even if a striker isn't scoring a ton of goals, but you can see they're making those good decisions, they're hungry. You've got to encourage that.
100%. It's about building trust, give them the freedom to make mistakes without feeling like they're letting the whole team down.
Yeah, no one plays perfectly all the time.
Exactly.
Because a confident striker.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous striker.
Without a doubt. And speaking of dangerous, there was this other thing Fed mentioned. He said that statistically, those flicks into the top corners of the circle, they're becoming more and more effective.
It's funny you should say that because I was just thinking, if it's like, are those top corners becoming the new weak spot? Because the middle's so shut down.
Right, like they've closed off the rest of the circle so well that attackers are like forced to find these new angles.
They're getting creative.
Exactly. But it's not just about the geometry, right? Fed also said you need that element of surprise. A well-disguised flick, that's tough to defend.
And especially with those new surfaces. The ball moves so fast.
Oh, absolutely. No time to react.
It's funny. Next time I'm watching a game, I'm going to be watching those top corners super close.
Me too. It's amazing how one masterclass can totally change how you see the game.
Change those viewing habits.
Right. And, it's not just about the shots. Fade also talked about how this is impacting the entire flow of the game.
So teams are having to adapt their whole approach.
Yeah. Like, he gave that example of balance, right? If your attackers are always flooding the circle, trying to force those close shots, it leaves you wide open for a counterattack.
Which can be devastating.
Oh, absolutely. But if you've got those circle priorities, you know when to hold back, when to push, when to pass, when to shoot. It's more strategic.
It's like a chess match out there.
100%.
Mhm.
And the thing that really stuck with me was how much Fade emphasized that mental game, and not just for individual players, but like that whole attacking unit. They need to be on the same page.
It's more than just individual skill. It's that team synergy.
Yes. He actually talked about how strikers need to build that trust, that connection, almost like they've got their own language out there.
So it's like they're not even reacting to the ball anymore. They're like anticipating each other's moves.
Yeah.
Like a flock of birds changing direction at the same time.
That's a great way to put it, because it's that shared understanding, that unspoken communication. That's what takes an attack from good to great.
Totally. We covered a ton of ground in this deep dive, from those tactics like crush balls and first post battles to those bigger ideas,
Yeah.
like how important it is to open the D and that speed of thought.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But the main takeaway, and Feta really emphasized this, these aren't just like ideas. These are things you can teach, you can practice, you can master, no matter what level you're at.
And that's what makes his approach so great. It's for everyone.
Exactly. Whether you're playing in the Olympics or just starting out, these circle priorities, they can make you a better, more instinctive, and, yeah, let's face it, a more dangerous player in that circle.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And, all this talk about these tight defenses and how attackers are going for those top corners, it makes you wonder.
What's next?
Exactly. Are we about to see a defensive revolution? Will coaches figure out how to counter those top corner attacks?
And then what will the offense do? It's like a constant back and forth.
The evolution of field hockey. And who knows, maybe the next Fede Tenuccio masterclass will hold all the answers.
Well, I, for one, can't wait to see what the future holds. This has been a great deep dive. Lots to think about, lots to work on.
It really has.
For everyone listening, if this has you fired up to improve your game, remember, think fast, be decisive, and hey, never underestimate the power of a perfectly placed top corner flick. Until next time, happy training, everyone.